It's an author who first captured the attention of many of us with his best-selling book, The Dorito Effect, where he explored America's public health crisis surrounding obesity and the link between nutrition and flavor. Now he's back with another must-read and eye-opening look at how to better manage our cravings.
That's right. Joining us now is award-winning food and science writer and author of the new book, The End of Craving, Mark Schatzker. Mark, thank you for being with us. And so we talk often about our relationship with food, and you say obesity is actually not a disease of indulgence, but one of craving. So how do we curb our cravings then?
Well, I think the important thing to understand is that we've gotten one thing fundamentally wrong, is that we tend to think the appetite is unintelligent, that it was sort of forged in the Stone Age, and we're on this lifelong mission to stuff our faces. What the science is telling us is that the brain is in fact extremely intelligent. It keeps track of every calorie that we intake and also that we expend. And the brain also controls body weight. The same way it controls your body temperature, it controls your heart rate, it controls your weight. Now, this seems shocking, but we know this because when we try to diet, it works initially, but then around 6 months in, it fails.
So what is the key, the secret to managing the craving?
Well, don't fool your brain. There's so many additives that we've created that are premised on this idea that our appetite is out of control and kind of dumb. So we do things like we create artificial sweeteners or fat replacers or synthetic flavors. And these would be really smart if your brain was dumb. But your brain, is, like I said, is keeping track of everything when you eat food, but it also kind of does a post-game analysis. And what we've created is a situation where, for the first time in the history of our species, the taste of food, and the taste to your brain is information. It's a kind of a register of calories coming in, doesn't match the actual calories. So we know this has implications for how food is metabolized. But on a deeper level, we have to ask, how does this intelligent brain respond when it doesn't get what it thought it was going to get? And what we see is an elevation in motivation. What we see is craving. Now, you might think, well, why? Why would the brain react that way? But you can put it in terms that make it understandable. If the fuel gauge on your car was unreliable, if you didn't know it worked, what would you do? You'd fill your car up all the time because you wouldn't want to run out of gas. Well, that's how your brain thinks about calories. If it suddenly becomes uncertain and it doesn't know what it's getting, it's going to be motivated to eat more. And that's what we see in those brain scans.
That's a really interesting way to put it. And you also in the book make the distinction between wanting and liking. Break that down for us.
Yeah, so what we think of as the pleasure of eating, deliciousness, it actually comes down to two neural circuits that are related but different. The first one runs on dopamine, a neurotransmitter you may have heard of. And this is motivation, this is desire, this is wanting. But then there's another neural circuit which is related, which is the pleasure impact moment when you put the food in your mouth and your brain lights up. And they're different and they inform us a lot about how we experience food. I went to a clinic in Germany that deals with eating disorders, and I went through some therapy that really makes one experience how it works. So the first thing the scientist did is she gave me 2 potato chips, and she said, you can eat them, you can sniff them, you can nibble them just a little bit, you can rub them together, but you can't eat them. And I was absolutely seized by a craving, an almost painful desire to eat these chips. And it made me realize the power certain foods hold over us. But then she did something else. She then gave me a small, very fine dark chocolate surrounding a biscuit core, and she said, just let the heat of your body melt this. And that was a totally different food experience. It took me on a journey. This tiny chocolate it spoke to me in such a different way. And what is so interesting is this scientist uses fine chocolate as a therapy for her patients with binge eating disorder. They are overcome with these volcanic desires to eat to the point where their stomachs hurt. And if they eat one of these very fine chocolates, it can extinguish the craving. So I think that the take-home message for us is what foods ignite this other circuit of genuine enjoyment versus foods that just have us reaching the bag over and over again for more.
Mark, did she ever let you eat that chip?
She didn't. I threw in the garbage, but after that fine chocolate, it didn't matter.
That is interesting. Mark, this is some really, really interesting stuff. The book is The End of Craving, Recovering the Lost Wisdom of Eating Well. It is available everywhere books are sold. We would love to have you back at some point to continue this conversation because it's certainly something our viewers are always asking our Dr. Ashton about having to do with diet. So we hope to see you down the road, all right?
Thank you. Been great to be here. Thanks so much.
Well, hey there. there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.